Hello, I'm Jonathan Freeman, Chief Executive of the Charity for Civil Servants, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Suzanne Heywood CBE. In that biography, What Does Jeremy Think?, you write very movingly about Jeremy's diagnosis of lung cancer. And it really brought home to me how you and Jeremy had to deal with the most devastating news whilst also holding down very senior and demanding jobs. What advice might you give to others, no matter where they might be in their career, about how best to approach such challenges, which of course can affect any one of us?
It's very hard to give people advice on how to handle these, because one of the things that I learned from my experience with Jeremy is that it's a very individual thing, how people handle difficult personal circumstances. Jeremy chose to handle his diagnosis and then his subsequent illness by continuing to work, whilst also spending time with the family as he always did, but he wanted to continue to work. And it was absolutely an option for him to stop. I mean, we knew that he had a terminal diagnosis, and we knew probably he only had at most a couple of years. It ended up being a year and a half from the point of the diagnosis. So it would have been perfectly reasonable for him to stop, but he absolutely didn't want to do that. And that was for two reasons. One was, to your earlier question about this commitment to service and duty. We were right in the middle of the Brexit moment, and he had a huge feeling of duty to the government to try and get that as far advanced as he could before he had to stop. But I think there was something else as well, which was, for him, working was a way for him to keep his mind focused on something that he felt he could make a difference on, rather than just dwelling on the fact that he was ill. So for him, it was actually positively helpful to keep working. You know, he found that mentally gave him more strength. And the reason why I said at the start that this is a very individual decision is I wouldn't necessarily say that that's true for everybody. Not everybody treats that sort of thing in the same sort of way. And for some people, that wouldn't be a helpful thing to do. But my experience with Jeremy was quite a lot of people were quite critical, and they would say, well, why are you doing this? You know, this is the wrong thing to do. But my learning is this is very individual. You know, for him, it was the right thing to do. And for him, as I say, it was a combination of duty, but quite frankly, it was also about how he managed his personal situation. Yeah. So I think we need to be very forgiving and understanding about how different people treat this and how they deal with it.
Well, just as an aside, that moment in the book, it's almost a true bit, but you talk in that about him texting on his BlackBerry with his left hand because his right arm is. And almost trivial, but that was the moment where I was just like, my goodness, that sense of duty, that sense of service.
Yes, although I deliberately in that answer gave both, because I do think it was both. You know, it was giving something to him as well.
Yes.
Because the moment at which he would have said, I'm stopping, would have been admitting everything was over, if you saw what I mean, which I don't think he wanted to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next time.
So I think today is actually an incredibly exciting moment to be a civil servant. The old boundary between foreign policy and domestic policy has effectively been smashed.